Hey everyone. I think Ghostface is a stronger killer than Trickster. I also think Ghostface is stronger than Legion. So, as you can imagine, I'm really confused by the reception of Trickster's Iridescent Photocard add-on change. This add-on currently makes him a ranged, though not a very far-ranged, Ghostface. After the change, this add-on will make him play more like a ranged Legion. In other words, this is a nerf. So why are people calling it a buff or a positive change? In case you haven't heard about this, the way in which Iridescent Photocard on Trickster is getting changed is that the add-on is now going to be capable of injuring survivors. I know this sounds like a good thing, because right now you cannot injure survivors while using Iridescent Photocard. However, my point is mainly that you don't want to. You want to expose survivors, and if you injure a survivor, you don't benefit from the exposed status effect. Here's why it's a nerf. First of all, there are many situations where you are prone to throw at least one extra knife. Take a look at this clip in which I'm lacerating this bill. Here's the exact moment when this bill, thanks to the Eerie Photocard add-on, gets the exposed status effect. You can tell by the HUD, but I do something a little extra. I like to pair this add-on with diamond cufflinks so that I don't have to look at the HUD. I can see the aura of the bill on my arm as I'm throwing knives. It's not as subtle and hard to do as you might think. The diamond cufflinks, as well as most of Trickster's purple add-ons, are actually pretty good on their own. That's not really the point, though. The point is, I benefit from throwing extra knives thanks to this add-on combo, and it's difficult to not do so, especially because this add-on exposes survivors who are one hit away from full laceration, not survivors who are fully lacerated. As a matter of fact, you currently can't fully lacerate survivors while running this add-on anyways. It procs when survivors are one hit away from laceration. What's the big old difference, though? Well, the difference is laceration is the state in which a survivor is one knife hit away from taking a damage state, or I guess technically two might happen one day. I don't know. And being one hit away from full laceration is being in the state where if you were given one more knife, you would then be one shot away from being injured. It's really confusing, and I wish they would change it so that instead these add-ons just activated when survivors were fully lacerated so that you could get the typical feedback of the scream and the red bars. But right now, I just need to point that out, that he's exposed now. Well, okay, I hear you saying. Why not just be careful to not throw extra knives? To that I say, yeah, it's possible to not throw extra knives after getting a survivor one hit away from laceration. However, the mere fact you have to be careful makes the add-on ever so slightly harder to use than it is now, and that's a form of a nerf, especially considering you might still not be getting the typical full laceration feedback. It's still much simpler to pump survivors full of as many knives as you want. Not to mention you sometimes need to land extra knives to prevent our revert laceration decay anyways. But what if being careful wasn't an option? Much the same way the Eerie Photocard change forces you to be more careful to not throw an extra knife, it also forces you to be more careful to not throw extra knives. That's right. This change makes this add-on synergize less with main event. Why do I say this? Because Trickster throws his knives automatically during main event. You can't control it, you just turn on main event and he starts throwing them, no matter what. This means to get the exposed status off of a main event usage, you would need to land just enough rapid-fire knives to almost lacerate a survivor, but then quickly react by canceling main event or whiffing knives on purpose so as to not injure a survivor accidentally, losing your exposure value. Here's a few examples. By the way, I love the sound of hitting a lot of main event knives in a row. Oh, music to my ears that... In this clip, main event actually does something. I use it because I only have 5 knives left, so it's really risky to try to just hit her normally, and instead having a whole bunch of chances really quickly helps a lot. The rest of this video is pretty much just me providing clips of the stuff I already went over. So we're done with the explanation portion, and all that's really left are examples, but I guess I'll reiterate my thoughts after all of this is over. This isn't actually a very good chase. I didn't do super well here, including a moment where I try to hit through a pallet, like literally. But, it still helps prove my point, despite the fact that I'm not performing well in this clip, because you'll see a moment where if the, change had gone through, like if I had thrown one extra knife and had lost the opportunity to expose a survivor, this survivor, specifically this Fang, it would have been bad for me, because I wouldn't have been able to do this. This is the moment in question when, if I had injured Fangman with a knife, it would have been worse than getting value out of my exposure, by the way. Unrelenting value, baby! This is when throwing an extra knife with the new Eerie Photocard would be worse, by the way. In this clip, Adam stuck himself in a corner. This is where Eerie Photocard really shines. Because it doesn't injure survivors, Adam can't lose his collision, regardless of how many knives I land. So, summary and suggestions. First of all, just make it so that add-ons like Eerie Photocard activate when survivors are fully lacerated, instead of when they're one hit away from being fully lacerated. It's unnecessary and confusing that they don't work that way already. I can't blame those who assume they did, because it makes no sense that they don't. All it does is eliminate the feedback you'd expect, which is why when I run diamond cufflinks, it feels like I'm making up for a problem, instead of augmenting or improving my ability. Despite the fact that, remember, diamond cufflinks are good on their own. Remember, laceration doesn't injure survivors. Landing a knife on a lacerated survivor damages survivors. Secondly, if you really want to buff this add-on behavior, make it so that you can still down survivors, not injure them. Injuring a survivor with this add-on defeats the purpose of this add-on. Some of you may still be wondering what I meant when I said that this add-on turns Trickster into a ranged Ghostface, although Ghostface has vastly more range, in a way, at the beginning of this video. What I mean is, throwing knives with Eerie Photocard is analogous to stalking with Ghostface. Ghostface can, in a practical sense, expose survivors from farther away, but Trickster has the advantage of doing it whenever he wants, assuming Trickster's running Eerie Photocard. Then again, Ghostface has the advantage of stealth and so on and so forth. When I said that this change makes Trickster more like Legion, what I meant was Legion uses their power to injure survivors, but not down them. But it's a bad idea to do that to Trickster because Legion can get quick first hits on multiple survivors, whereas Trickster slowly hits one. By the way, people compare Trickster and Legion, which is weird because they're nothing alike. Legion speeds up to get an easy hit that does extra damage and hopefully continue that chain on the whole team. Trickster slows down to get a more difficult hit that does no damage until he hits you 8 times and has to commit to one survivor to do so by design. Even if he were good at what he does, he'd still practically be the antithesis of Legion. Side rant over. If you're somehow still convinced that this change is actually a buff, I can only assume that's because you'd rather injure survivors than expose them. That's okay. However, at the risk of sounding blunt, just don't run Eerie Photocard then. His knives already injure survivors. Lastly, I can see the comment now. So you're saying this add-on's nerfed because you can screw it up now?